Vani go to malo. Dobro, ajde!
Shumborie mi čaj, soka penam tuke, ti sam suj domaćica, tuta te obe, te sam sa javorije, puti kerju, i tu me čave javorije, a kjer te kere. Žeja kala i sila, graka vlasar mi čaja, ja sam je gojdanke pedava. Mi bori sar je klira, žeja kala i sila, bari bila ja fordava, Ako ga se predala, jaša specijalno me te tenge. Jasha, op! Aj gazdarica iz zona penala, Jasha samo me sulvenge. Opa! Domaćice dukarije, počinđa menici sose, amare šuše pricace. Opusti to samoće, od dušmanja nektike, i nektike soj merako, par domaćicako. Oj, nano, pašalenkumen, lagano, samo eterne.
Andrew, good to see you. Hey,
Hey,
nice to
hey,
see you again.
hey. How we doing? How we doing?
Glad to have some Mitch.
Oh, we got some people coming in. Got some people coming in. Ooh, ooh. Oh, I don't know what. Can you hear
I can
can you
hear
hear
your
my audio?
music.
Do you hear my voice though?
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey man.
Oh, I'm turning
Need to
off the
put more
music.
light.
Give me a second.
Uh,
Yeah. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Derek. Good to see you.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Good.
Sick.
good, good.
We'll just let people come in. Anybody, people want to just go around real quick, say your name, say where you're calling in from?
You start with me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joaquin Hernandez. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. Another Texan.
Another,
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm from Houston.
yeah, Houston, nice.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Derek. I'm from Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm from Boston.
We got a couple. If anybody, if any of y'all who don't have your video on, if you want to say what's up, feel free. Or not. Oh, there's Nora.
What up? I'm Nora. I'm here in New York City as well. Hello.
She's right there. She's in the other
Yeah,
room.
we
She
are
can hear
actually in the same apartment.
hey, what's up, Jimmy? Want to introduce
Hey,
yourself?
uh, I'm Jimmy calling from Omaha, Nebraska.
Nice.
Omaha. Oof.
Omaha. Well, welcome everybody to Tuba Bass Tuesdays. This is just the open forum hang for tuba players, tuba bass players, anybody interested in, mainly holding down the bass roll, playing by ear, learning tunes, getting freelance gigs, all this kind of stuff. Um, I never plan anything for this. I just sort of leave it open for anybody who has questions, anybody who wants to talk about anything. I love when we go over if you got videos of you playing, either on a gig or like practice stuff. I love doing that. We can get into if we want to play on the call, we can get into that too. But yeah, so why don't everybody just if there's anything that anybody kind of has like a topic on their mind that they want to like get into, or just some things that they've been thinking about, or stuff that you've been working on, just go ahead and share. Open up, feel free.
I mean, I have a nightmare story about a gig that I did on this weekend, but it's not
What?
so much a story as much as just a cautionary tale.
All right, I like that. Andrew's got a cautionary tale. What else? What other topics might we want to get into today? Hey, Brendan, you want to just say where
I
you're at?
I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yep.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm calling in from the Netherlands, a place called Nijmegen in Dutch. It's near Arnhem, which you don't probably know, but I play the sousaphone in a street band in Nijmegen.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, yeah. What else? What other kind of topics are people into talking about?
I'm here visiting to see what's going on, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just here to help. I'm here to help, and we're all here to help and stuff like that. Well, Andrew, why don't you get into your cautionary tale, and maybe we'll see where that takes us.
Okay. Well, I normally play with the Hot Tamales in Boston. And I met one person who played trumpet. He was new to the band, and on this Thursday, he invited me to play at this Flag Day parade. And I was like, okay, it sounds like he's organizing. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of Juilliard, or not Juilliard, a lot of Berkeley musicians. Seems like a good opportunity. Plus, they're saying $120. It would be silly to say no. So I show up. very early just to make sure that I'm there on time. I go to where the people with clipboards say that our band's supposed to meet, and then I receive radio silence for 40 minutes. So what happened, it turns out, is that this trumpet player was not the actual organizer. He was working with a person named Russ Wiseman, who I did not know he was the organizer, because if I did, I would have said he had a bad reputation. Because even I know that. But so basically, this new trumpet player was kind of duped by this guy into leading a band. And then instead of having us meet at our actually designated spot, he basically had them meet in a random location that I was not told, and then had them jump into the parade at a random location. So then I received this text of like, oh, we're stepping off at this random place. Like after the parade's already leaving, I run to try to meet them. I don't see them. I run back along the other direction. I'm thinking maybe I got too far ahead. I don't see them. Eventually, somebody takes pity on me with a golf cart and drives me around with my sousaphone to the front of the parade, and then we drive all the way back. I miss them again because by that point, the person who plays trumpet, who I was looking for, had already stepped out of the parade. So then we had to drive back. It was a nightmare running around trying to find these people. And then afterwards, the guy says, oh, well, I'm not going to pay you the full amount because you weren't there the whole time. I saw you running around. I was just so pissed because I had been spending all this time trying to make sure this thing. And I'm like, I said, okay, this is the least professional band I've ever played in. I'm so pissed off because if I take this check, it means accepting that I was late, which is completely the furthest from the truth. Yeah. Keep your damn money. I'm sorry for cursing. And I never want to work with you again. Yeah. So that was a example of a gig that did not pan out very well. So I guess lessons that can be learned are always make sure you know who's at the top organizing it. Don't accept gigs at the last minute as favors. Like, make sure it's something that you actually want to do. And generally make sure that the people are going to communicate with you.
No, communication is so key. It's like, and like, you know, sometimes, no, I was dealing with like, you know, it wasn't a parade, but like a similar thing this morning where like, I was booked on this gig, a month ago. It was a month ago that I got called for this thing. I'm doing a performance at Newark Symphony Hall on Friday, with Layla Hathaway. She's like Donny Hathaway's daughter, and like a bunch of some other people. This guy, and the dude who books it has like a hip hop orchestra. I play with him a lot, but it was like it was one phone call. It was like hey, Duff, are you available this day? We're rehearsing these days. And it was like, cool, yeah, I'm down, cool. And I just blocked out the calendar. Didn't know, and like, you know, I got the rate and I got the days to be blocked out. Hadn't heard anything. Last night, I'm just like, yo, dude, are you going to send out the details to this thing or not? I mean, I didn't say or not, but I was just like, hey, like, are you going to send out the details? Because like, I had some stuff coming up. I was like, I started getting confused as to like, I like looked through them. All it was a phone call. Like I didn't have anything in writing, anything like that. And so like, yeah, this morning I was talking to Nora this morning. I was like, I don't know if this gig's actually happening. Like, I don't know if like, maybe I fell through the cracks and they called somebody else or blah, 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 blah. And I was just sort of like mentally preparing for like, all right, well, maybe I'm not doing this gig. Would it be that bad? And then like an hour and a half ago, I get the text that it's like, okay, here's what's the details, you know, kind of thing. All of that to say, sometimes you don't know, you know, so but like I was having that same thing of like, crap, did I make a communication error? Crap, did I, you know, all this stuff. Like what turned out in that situation, and that like, honestly, I find this like, it's funny. It's like there's a nice middle ground of like professionalism with like a lot of the like corporate bands and wedding bands and orchestras and that kind of stuff where like there's a lot of communication and all that kind of stuff. But then like as I've gotten up into like the higher echelons of like major label performers and like stuff like that, it can even be less professional because they sort of like, because one, a lot of stuff is coming together last minute, you know, and that type of thing. And a lot of stuff is sort of like they're figuring out the logistics just and like, you know, their flights might be different and they're just sort of like banking on the musicians being the ones who are just like, yeah, let's go. Okay, I'm down, whatever it is. Or two, it's just like, yeah, they have last minute things going on. They put it together last minute. And so they're booking the rehearsal space last minute and all that. There's a huge, you know, so that, yeah, on the one, there's a fine line between like making sure you get the communication right and also being flexible enough that like you can still roll with the punches when they come, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have experiences like that?
Oh, definitely. I just waiting, and I supposed to have a gig this Saturday for a brass quintet, and they tell me I call you in the afternoon or this morning, and they don't call, you know. So thank God I don't have nothing on Saturday. So if it's a gig show up, then I can do it. But it is crazy how they leave everything in the air, you know. And then the gig was the French horn supposed to have it, and she got involved in something else, so she passed it to the trumpet player, and he didn't have my phone number. So the only thing that I'm trusting is that I know him. He worked with me when we were in the army in Korea, and I know that he's a responsible person, you know. That's a good part. But that doesn't mean that gig, you know. It's Saturday, today's Tuesday, we haven't even rehearsed. I never played with them before.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to play the only thing for me that I can use the E flat tuba for the brass quintet to have nice sound and a shiny instrument. But when it's like that I have to, you know, don't know what's going on, then I bring my B flat, because I can sight really better.
Just because you're more confident on the B flat is what you're saying.
Yeah, especially in the low notes, you know, those key they can be, you know, and you never know what they're going to play, you know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, I mean, it's flexibility is so key, and like this is so key to the whole like tuba bass thing in general. Is like, it's funny. It was like I remember when we were rehearsing for John Batiste's American Symphony thing. There were two different orchestras that wound up being like, because what happened is we were doing 2 weeks of a orchestra rehearsal, and then John got COVID and the premiere got canceled, and so then we had to move it to the fall. But that first orchestra was all like contracted people, like people that were like contracted by like kind of like Broadway contractors, and like everybody was really stiff about like what it needs to be, and this is how it's supposed to be. This is, and like John was kind of flying by the seat of his pants, you know, doing like, you know, we were rearranging parts on the spot during rehearsals and all this kind of stuff. And every, you know, and like the schedule was like the schedule was like all day for 2 weeks, but you know, you could kind of come and go as you needed, because he just needed people there to kind of workshop it with him and stuff like that. But a lot of the like more like Broadway and classical cats had a hard time with it. They were like, there was all this rumbling, there was all this like grumbling and complaining, and like, this isn't what it's supposed to be, this is so unprofessional, blah 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 blah. And then, you know, John got COVID, you know, we did it later. All of those people were not asked back for the second round because they weren't able to be flexible and roll with it. Like there was a handful of people who were cool and just like, yeah, this is part, we're a part of a fun process, you know, this is, whatever is needed is we're down to do. And, you know, like, yeah, he needs us to, you know, do this, do that, transpose, whatever, play, like he would play stuff by ear and just because he wanted to see how it sounded and all of that kind of stuff. And it can really be tough if you are just like locked into like, this is the way it's supposed to be versus I can do anything, so it's fine. I'm open to anything, so it's fine. And so whether that's in that kind of situation like I just talked about, or whether it's in like the singer needs to change the key last minute, go, like count it off, or whether it's someone coming up to you with a last minute request. Do you know it? Can you do it? Cool. Like if you can, then like everybody else in the band sees you as valuable. If you can't, then you go home and you better learn that song.
That make you more valuable, no? If you are that,
Absolutely.
If you are that flexible, because gigs, we play tuba, we don't play violin, so there are not hundreds of gigs outside, and here in Texas, if I play banda, you know how much money I'm losing because I don't play banda? Let's say between $600 and $1,500 a day, in one day, because I don't play banda. But you know how much hour you have to be able to play?
Yeah, it's like they're like 4-hour gigs, right?
It's from 6 hours to 8 hours you can be playing, and it's not.
Those parties do last a long time.
Well, the Mexican, when a Mexican have a little bit of money, they spend it. That's what the Mexicans are so special, because they work hard to spend the freaking money and their family. So when they want to celebrate quinceañera, when they celebrate a wedding, they don't give a shit, Keep playing. Hey, man, play 1 more hour. How much? $1,000. Okay, let's see. We sell the cow, whatever.
We'll sell the cow.
We do whatever. They have a big, big heart for the family. So
yeah.
But playing banda, as a sousaphone player, which play all the time, is this guy don't last that much. They 35, 40 years, and that's it. They have to play violin. Go and play guitar or play something else. Which I know friends that they play, the guitar, they have the segundo, something like that they call it. I don't know how they call it. You learn another instrument to be able to keep playing,
Yeah.
But sousaphone player, you can make a lot of money in those parties, In any case, anybody want to come, I hook you up.
Hook me up. I'm trying to get into banda.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not that far. I'll drive to San Antonio.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, have a good friend. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go. Get some gigs.
I got my gig because a friend of mine didn't want to play brass band. So he went to a conjunto. And now he's playing with the polka band. So that conjunto, need tubas, There are a lot of people looking for it. It's in Facebook in San Antonio or Texas. I don't know if it's on. I
asked one of my friends. I joined Músicos de Houston, and I'm trying, but it translates it for me. So I don't speak a lot of Spanish.
You gotta get your Spanish together if you want to play banda, Chelsea.
I know. I'm only half Mexican. I can make it through, but
you can't speak Spanish and the other half.
Yeah, you just gotta start like listening to Spanish radio all the time.
Yeah,
get all your TV shows in Spanish. Just really get it going.
It is. We have a bunch of club, like restaurant, and they have music Fridays and Saturdays, and they play.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to one maybe this Friday. It's here in Houston, Caliche Town.
There's a lot of. Let me tell you something. If you get in that, it's good money. It's good money.
I'm trying. I really am.
Well,
that's awesome.
you can send me an email or a text, and I hook you up with my friend.
Okay.
He's a guy who. One thing funny here in San Antonio, the tuba player, everybody's is freaking Jose. We have
Everybody's
like
name is
5 or
Jose.
6, 7. We have like 6 people, Jose. Thank God my second name is Joaquin, so I use my.
Yeah, no, I knew you as
Everybody.
Jose.
Everybody's freaking Jose. Jose Escovia, Jose NJ. He changed his name to NJ, which is he's Jose Noguera. So to make it cool, now he's NJ. You see, because every time we get together, hey Jose, Jose, hey Jose. We sound very, very weird. So,
Okay.
but I can hook you up with NJ. He's a very nice guy, and he he know a lot of people.
Okay.
I love it. I love
Do you
it.
have experience playing?
Not banda now. I play. I'm in this band. We play cumbia and we play like salsa stuff. But
Yes.
yeah,
You play the tuba?
yeah, I play. Like it's my
Hey.
Caesar.
Yeah, Chelsea's great tuba.
No, but do you play the bass? Because the thing is that they're gonna tell you the key, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I do that now, kind of.
You have to learn the way that they count because they have a very weird way to say 1, 4, and 5.
Uh-huh.
They don't say 1, 4, and 5. They say 1, 2, and 3, and 2 is and 3 is the 5th.
Yeah, what is it? It's like what is it in Spanish? It's like like segundo. And
Primera, segunda, tercera.
What is it?
Oh,
Say it again.
yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, I play with a lot of mariachi groups. I'm also a trumpet player, and that's the terminology they'll use.
Say it again.
Primera, segunda, y tercera. I don't know what they. I still.
So primera is 1, segunda is
That's what I
4,
think.
and
4
and
and
what was 5?
Yeah.
Tercera.
Tercera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tercera.
Yeah.
It be the 5th chord.
Yeah, well, because most of the things in banda are just 1, 4, 5, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, it's
So it's 1, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
It's
that.
crazy.
Wow, I learned something. I'm ready now. Put me in.
You're
Yeah.
ready.
Well, if you come to San Antonio, I have my
will drive. I will come see.
I have my house here, and I have a lot of instrument here. Yeah, I have more than one.
Yeah.
Like
Hey,
fuses.
what's going on, Sam? Where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's up? I'm in Austin, Texas.
Ooh, we got a lot of Texans here today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. We were just talking about the banda scene. Chelsea and Joaquin are doing banda stuff.
Oh, cool. I love Banda. I haven't had a chance to play any, but it sounds crazy. I feel like you got to have some insane chops to like execute it.
No, it's the mouthpiece. The banda thing is the mouthpiece.
What
They
mouth?
use small mouthpiece.
They use they have a brand that they use a lot, but the only thing that you need is a very shallow mouthpiece.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to kill yourself.
That's how they get that ripping sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, they're very, very shallow.
Yeah.
I have this mouthpiece that could help. This can you see this? Here.
Oh, cool.
This is made by Gatings. It was for John Gross.
Oh, that's the John Gross one. Yeah.
Yeah. And
He said that was based off of the loud LM12, but with like a deeper cup.
Yeah. And the thing is that the loud, the cup used to go like in.
Yeah. It was like a bird bath.
Yeah, it was like
lead trumpet player, like screamer mouthpiece.
This one is pretty much normal but shallow. But it helped.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to when you're trying to play loud. Let me see if I can do it. Because
you got to turn original sound on if you want to.
It's a sound. You have to play with that sound all the time.
Yeah.
So if you don't get something shallow that you can produce Concert
Yeah,
noise.
they want that brash sound.
Yeah.
That's the whole tone of it.
I can crank it.
Yeah.
I can crank it.
Chelsea can crank it.
I feel like all bass lines or all well executed bass is very percussion-y, but I feel like it's particularly so in that type of music because you're just
Yeah.
hitting it so hard.
Well, and it's different from like like a lot of different a lot of the stuff that I'm playing is like because in New York a lot of the stuff that I'm finding myself in is like we're doing like hip hop and R&B covers and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
on that one and in that kind of stuff, I play a Helleberg because it gives me like a big round sound that I can get, and like even if I'm not plugged in, I'll get like a big round sound. But like if I have to do like kind of what Joaquin is saying, like where I'm like it's not, like I've got like this is like a 20 Bach 22 and I've got like a 24
Yeah.
W. Like I'll use that for those are kind of like my two things. It's like I'll either do a Helleberg or
Or-
like a Bach 22, 24,
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, I will tell you, like the Roger Bobo's orchestra, something like the Miraphone C4. Those are the mouthpieces that it will survive. Or buy one of those mouthpieces that they use. I'm gonna tell you, they are small. They look like a chunk of mouthpiece because they are very heavy and very big. But when you see the whole, you're like, and like half of those guy, they used to be trumpet players.
Yeah.
Really?
No, that's
Yeah.
what one of my friends told me that like the whole concept that you want to think about when you're playing banda sousaphone is like imagining the sound of a mariachi trumpet. Like it's that kind of power that they're pushing through the horn, because that's what a lot of them are. They started out as trumpet players, really ripping, and then they switched over to sousaphone, and it became
Everybody sound like that. The trombones, they all have this cutting sound.
Yeah.
Like very, very like, bright, you say?
Yeah.
Super bright.
Nice. It would be nice if you come around and I know at least 2 places here that they play banda. They're on the weekends. And you can meet the guys,
Yeah.
That would be
Love
crazy,
Yeah.
How they accept you, because between you and me, this is between you and me. Nobody's listened to us. I haven't seen a girl playing sousaphone.
No, I know. I've seen them all.
Okay.
They're all guys.
Yeah, just
Let me in.
I gotta interrupt. I had 4 tuba students this year, and all of them were girls.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, all in mostly in Bastrop and Maynard, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are more females. I don't know. It was somebody recently that won a good position on tuba, a female. I don't know. I don't remember right now, but it was in North. I don't know if it was. Oh man, I saw it like a couple months ago. It was a female that have a good position on tuba. So there are more and more female playing. Finally,
I call it the brass gap. When I talk to my students, kind of like the pay gap. I say like, what's with the brass gap? Like, why aren't there as many girls playing low brass, especially?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nora's representing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's better up there, but I don't know.
It's better in Boston as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been like refused from a couple of bands because they're like, we're looking to be more diverse and we just don't want another white male tuba player.
Well, we play a Juneteenth gig last Sunday, and we even have the white shirt. And everybody said the bass trombone, which is a very light. He have your color, Chelsea. And everybody is white. And we are like in a community that everybody's black. And I tell them, this is the second time we do a gig like that. I say, man, at least let's bring the black shirts. We have black shirts, We look too white, But when we play, they love it. We have a gig for the wedding, the 24th. They just love it, because the guys are very, very good. you know. But man, we look white. We look freaking white. Too much.
Yeah. What else? So what else are people playing? I know, like Derek, you're doing a lot of stuff in the Disney band, right?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So, I've worked a lot with them over almost the last 3 years, and it's interesting because it's definitely a sousaphone gig. We're like pushing a lot of sound, but I also do a lot. I'm playing classical tuba style a lot on sousaphone.
What do you mean?
So like we're playing Disney music, so it's a little bit more cinematic. We're playing whole notes every once in a while, lots of different crescendos, decrescendos, and we're doing a lot of stuff like that. But it is essentially the role of a bass player in a big band. But we do a lot more stuff that would be almost like a bass trombone, in that sense, where we have to match with a lot of those instruments. So my setup is usually pretty big. Like I have a kind of a huge, I have the like Dennis Wick Ultra, well, not the one, I stepped down to the 2 just to give a little bit more cut, but it's like a huge mouthpiece for sousaphone. And that's what works. It has a huge amount of body. So I can just like have a nice core tuba-y sound on sousaphone. But then there's other parts of the set in the day where we're playing, like we played like a Latin version of like a Bruno's chart, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna be cutting, I'm gonna be popping like super super hot, like right up in the front of the band. So just kind of do a little bit of it all, but our charts are all just written down, so it's like we just raw memorize like everything, because we have 2 tuba players and we have to be playing the exact same thing the whole time. So we don't really, there's a few moments where it's like, okay, well, this person's going to walk the bass line while the other person takes a break, and then that person can kind of walk their own bass line. But that's pretty much how that goes for us.
This is
yeah, this is the Disneyland band is essentially like a DCI kind of styled group. It's a big band setup, so we have 4 trumpets, 4 bones, 5 saxophones, a marching percussion, which does essentially the role of a drum set, except for that it's really intense and like super awesome. They have like cymbals on everything and do all that, and then the 2 sousaphones are basically the bass of the group. We do 7 sets a day, 365, and it's great. I've been just like I'm technically hired. Anywhere from probably 20 to our longer sets, probably 35 minutes. The shorter sets usually have a lot of movement, and especially right now, it's like 90 something outside. It gets super sweaty, but it's great. And we do everything from, it's like a lot of it's Disney music, but then we also play like a flag retreat at the end of the day. So like that's the long set. We do like 30 minutes of just Washington Post March, Super America, and then all the veterans come in. We play a huge Armed Forces salute banner, like all of that stuff, and then we play like national emblem going out. Yeah, so we kind of get to do it all in one day, and then just put that day on repeat. But that's
So, yeah,
like a lot of what I do. Yeah.
Is that like a full-time gig for you, like essentially, or
Essentially, I'm technically a sub, but I just got off a 9-day straight run, and then for the past 3 months, I've just been working full time with them, and I'm getting literally overtime hours with them, and I'm technically a sub, but there's so many gigs in LA that like for the 5 of us currently in the Disneyland band, it's like, oh, if this guy takes a gig, I'm definitely going to be here, or if this person's traveling for a month or a week. It's just like constant work. It's great. And then I'm always done. I'm in the car by 5:30, so I can always do gigs at night, and I can always go do other rehearsals or plan my life out. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. It's kind of a mix of the classical, and I do a lot of classical tuba playing too, and it's
with orchestra or
with orchestras. I have been playing with a young artist symphony out here, but it's really geared towards college people. So we usually pick up orchestras a lot of times around the holidays, especially Christmas and other things. There's lots of orchestra gigs. But then I've done some one-off work with different orchestras around here. I do a lot of chamber music playing. So I have a quintet that usually works on a lot of American holidays, and then also a lot of just random celebrations, gigs, stuff like that, where I just get to play my F tuba. And I think that's one of my happiest places, just like pick up my little F tuba and play chamber music and get all over the horn. Um, but yeah, I've done a few little recording things, like nothing super crazy, like my teachers have, but I love doing that stuff when it pops up, but that's so crazy out here in LA to get into.
What,
yeah,
what do you mean it's crazy to get into?
it's for like the big studios, like Warner Brothers, like all the big stuff. It's basically the same people. Most people have been like in those chairs for a super long time. It's all unionized, and so those contract lists are super tight, and someone literally has to leave or die, just like any other orchestra. But it's even tighter because there's no audition. So you just get called, and then those orchestras, like for the movies and stuff, are just super tight.
You work with Jim Self for any chance?
Yeah, actually, Jim is the reason I'm in LA, because I started my master's at SC. He actually stayed at Jim's house the first time I came to LA, and I've just like slept on his bed. And he's basically like my tuba dad at this point. He's now retired, and he just played his last concert with the Pacific Symphony, and he's doing Pasadena still for another year. But Doug Tornquist is now, and there's a few other guys, Doug and Brad Muller, and a few of the guys out here. They're kind of also doing stuff. But yeah, Jim's retirement is a pretty big deal out here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he goes to the studio with a car full of instruments.
Yeah. I think, and Blake is another super good friend, and I remember meeting him once. He's like, yeah, when I pull up the studio, I might have been called for tuba, and he also brings like a C tuba, an F tuba, maybe euphonium, chimbasso, bass trombone, electric bass, just maybe, like just in case, in the car. And then it's like, oh, can you do this? And then it's like, as long as you're paid the double, and then they bring it in, and it's awesome. It's just like hearing some of those stories. Or even like another good story is in the bass trombone, if they write below like low E, which of course they're doing because they have like eight bass trombones, then it has to pay double scale. So it's like it's like a whole thing. It's like so composers are limited to like what they can write, because even if they're playing the same instrument, if it goes below low E, it's like, oh, I have to go over here and pick this instrument up. It's crazy. Yeah.
What's the
rules and guidelines?
What's the story of that rule that started out? Do you know where that?
Well, because it's so much easier, because on bass trombone, it's like you need to get down to like really thick, loud, low notes. You need two triggers to
absolutely
really be doing that. And so eventually, like the trombone players got it written in like guidelines. It's like, okay, if you write below low E, that means I'm going to be bringing a second instrument, because that's what I would do. So that then it was like, well, we got to pay doubling fees, and it's like a whole thing. But it's super tight in how all of that works out here. And there's just a lot of the way they do it now, because they walk into a session with basically nothing. Like there's the book, they look through it, and then they record it, and that's a day. Yeah.
It's similar to like how the Broadway scene is out here, where it's like there are no auditions, you just have to know the people and like figure out who the contractors are, get in the get on the sub list and all of that kind of thing. And like it's all just about like being cool to work with and being really good and like taking people out for drinks and like that kind of stuff, where like
play rehearsals.
Play rehearsals for free, or like when somebody hits you up and goes like, hey, I need you to do this right now, running to do it right then, because
no kidding.
No, because it's just like a lot of the dudes on that kind of stuff, it's like because a lot of those guys, that's what the people above them made them do, and so like that's kind of how like the things happen, or it's just, I mean, it's whatever, it's doing whatever you got to do to become cool with those people, whether that's what I just described, or whether it's, there's a million ways to make friends, right? But like at the end of the day, it's like when you're not just like doing a blind audition and getting the gig, which is like kind of what most, college classical things prep you for is just that way of working.
Yeah.
There's a whole it's we're working with humans, and people like to work with their friends at the end of the day. So like it's just like a big thing of like, yeah, you can be good, but if you're an asshole, no one's gonna call you.
Oh yeah. I have people I don't call. So that I know that it's a very fact. And just professionalism too. But yeah.
No, and
I
I
don't know.
know
I
I know there are
definitely
people that don't call me because I have been an asshole, and so it's like, all right, damn, lost that one. Lesson learned.
yeah.
And like
Yeah.
sometimes that's the only way you get to learn that lesson is like, or it's like that, it's like the thing that the story I was talking about with the Batiste Orchestra, where like all those people just didn't get called for the final gig because they weren't flexible, they weren't easy to work with.
Yeah. I I can attest now that I've, I guess, climbed the mountaintop of academia. I see so many people like that are amazing classical musicians, just so clearly well trained technical monsters that just won't play any other genre. And then like, ah, like there's so much potential there, and a lot of people do end up winning jobs. And I like the Colburn Conservatory is like right here, and I've seen more people win orchestra jobs since moving here than I ever thought I would, and they're living amazing careers doing that. Um, but then I've also seen like the other 90% of people that go on, they move home, they just start some other part-time job, and like if you just would have switched genres or just attempted anything else, like you'd be working probably full time.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really hard. It's really hard when there's a certain like amount of, I didn't go to classical school, but I went to jazz school. And like it's very similar in that way where like, when you spend 4 years and like, somewhere between like one and $200,000 on a degree, there's a certain amount of like indoctrination that winds up happening of like, and for whatever reason, it's like indoctrination into this really esoteric music style that is art. And people begin to see like the only way that I can respect myself or get the respect of my teachers or feel good about myself is to go down this path that I was taught when like, I definitely had to like make some certain choices where like, I remember being like 20 years old and I started playing with this Balkan brass band. And and I was in jazz school and it was like all of my friends, like I was like trying to like get them to come out to the gig and they all like turned their nose up at it and like all this kind of stuff. And then we all graduated and I was the only one paying my rent with playing and they all got coffee shop gigs and like, taught and doing whatever. So it's like this like you said, Derek, like 90% of the people who are going down that path aren't going to get the gig, unfortunately. But we've spent all of this time blowing into these hunks of metal. We want to do something with that passion and that love and that desire. And so being open to I'll do I'll do whatever it takes to be able to play. And I will like make sure that my life is oriented around being flexible and around being able to do whatever I want and whatever is required of me instead of just like having this, romanticized kind of version of what being a musician is supposed to be.
yeah, I mean, totally agree. I feel lucky out here because you can kind of have a classical life even if you're doing a lot of sousaphone. You can kind of live it all. I think that probably goes anywhere, but I think personally love playing. I also love playing classical music. I don't think that'll ever leave me. Um, and it's been so great to be able to do both. But I've also loved playing sousaphone. I just like all over the place. I definitely feel like a Mario character all around. I love to do it all a little bit. I usually try not to just play one. And it's been sick so far.
Yeah, what other kind of stuff are people playing? What sort of projects are people playing? Yo, what's up, Noriega? Good to see you, man.
I had a
Hey,
quick
man.
question for Derek, actually. I'm sorry. Is it Ed Gorza that you sub for in LA for the Disney gigs?
No. So
Yeah.
I can elaborate on what that
I
looks
didn't
like.
know if you knew him. I just wanted to ask.
No, there's multiple bands at Disneyland. The Disneyland band is the version of the Disneyland band that currently exists today. We actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary yesterday.
Ah,
Um, so there's a guy named Bobby Murray and Danny Garcia. They were the original two members, and then Kyle Richter came in. Um, Brad Mueller was there. Beth Mitchell was there. Indy and I are the newest members. Evan Brock is also there. Joe Moore is still here. So those are the other than Indy and I that currently do all the sub work. It's currently just Evan, Joe, and and Andreas. And he's talk about sousaphone. That guy's kill it. And he was also there originally as well. So there's been a lot of turnover, but it's an easy gig to walk away from. But yeah. So that
cool.
there's
I have a friend who lives in LA and playing sousaphone. I didn't know if you knew him.
yeah,
And
there's
I
so
know he
many.
plays for Disney too, but yeah, I
Okay.
guess there's like a lot of bands you said.
Yeah, and there's Bob Listen. He would be one of the older cats for like Disneyland band stuff too. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Just
Yeah.
curious. Thanks.
Ed Garoza plays that like Python tuba, right?
Uh, you mean Simbasso or
No, I'm
Slippin'?
thinking. Let me.
he
'Cause
is
somehow,
from New England. You'd probably know him.
yeah, because I know him. I think I might be Facebook friends with him.
He's really plugged into the honk Boston scene. And that's how I met him. And now after like finishing college, I think he went to UMass Amherst.
Oh, we're not friends.
And
I
now
just have a
he
bunch of
lives in
mutual
LA.
friends.
Hmm. Cool.
Here, I'll send the picture. Oh, maybe it's just like a trombone type thing.
He plays
Maybe it
trombone.
is a chimbasso. It might be a chimbasso.
So what else are people doing?
Hey, I want to mention that NJ is the guy here in San Antonio that play with the bandas.
Oh yeah, Noriega is
Yeah, and
he's a badass.
yeah, he
We
play.
were just
It's my-
talking. We were talking about. We had a whole Bonda conversation before you hopped in. Chelsea's trying to get into the Bonda scene. She's in Houston.
Is my mic on?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah. So Joaquin and we both live in the same city in San Antonio. I live on the south side. He lives on the north side, and sometimes we exchange gigs just depending on what we're both doing. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think this is the first time I've actually really jumped on into a conversation. I'm not sure where you guys were at this point, but from my experience, there's not many of what I'm doing. I'm a true working musician. Just a little bit of background. All I do is gig. That's it. Like, if you see me playing, I'm getting paid for it, and that's as far as it goes. Like, and I can go into detail, into brutal honesty, or I can sugarcoat it. I don't know.
Let us know.
Well, I'm sure at some
Brutal
point,
honesty.
Steven has probably mentioned it. I got into it around COVID. So I went the typical route. I got my bachelor's and master's in tuba performance. I believed it all with the ITA conferences. I did the competitions. I auditioned for a couple of orchestras. The best I ever got was third for the Monterey Symphony down in Mexico, and this was like my last year of grad school. None of it worked. I was never picked, right? And then after a while, I was thinking, well, shit, I know I'm not Oystein Bodsvik, but I know I'm pretty good than an average one. What about me? Like what the hell am I gonna do? It's like our professors and academia in general, and I apologize if there's anyone in here with that works for a university or whatever, but there's a huge problem with colleges and universities training us on what's really happening out there. And that's my number one complaint. They give us these grand delusions that either you're a teacher or you go audition for an orchestra or you join a military band, and that's kind of all you hear, coming out of these professors. And not to knock on my own professors, but that's kind of the extent of what they want to dive into, and that's about it. And I'm like, well, you all know as well as I do that it's just one position for an orchestra. And although it would be nice to play for an orchestra, it'd be even nicer if we got paid for something that we did for years, that we've been doing for free. And so I'm a very vocal and a very strong advocate for getting paid to play. And that's the mindset you need to do. Like you need to draw a line in the sand and you're at least mentally and say, I'm going to stop performing for community bands. I'm going to stop performing all these freebies. Yes, you can do them. You can still do them, but it's like you have to be very tactical. What's it going to lead to? Because I've been down that road too. I've been lied to so many times where it's like, yo, help me out with this gig and the spot's going to be yours eventually. Because it's happened to me here. It's happened to me here. I don't want to go into those details, but I can just tell you that a lot of times it's like you have to know how to network yourself and how to shove your way in there. Joaquin can tell you that I'm never not busy. I'm always busy. I'm always gigging, and that's just the way it goes. You have to be willing to do anything.
So how you got to the banda thing?
Well, I got in. Oh yeah, I got into it during COVID because I had switched careers. I was doing insurance. I was a claims adjuster on the phones and stuff like that. I hated that job. Sucks. And then somebody from a ska band over in Austin that I had worked with, they saw a post and then they forwarded it to me that this conjunto group was looking for a bass player, and they were looking pretty much for any bass player. And so I went. I learned, I think, 3 songs in my first set, like my first meeting with them, and they looked at each other. And mind you, there's only 3 of us, right? And this is during COVID. There was 3 of us. We were spaced out, and they said, "You want to do a gig?" And in my head, I was thinking, it's better to say yes than say no at this point, because I've worked too damn hard to keep saying no and to give in to nerves. So I said yes, and it was the best decision I ever made. One thing led to another, which led to another, and I got busier and busier. And then I made the conscious decision to leave behind my insurance career and leave behind my old band director job aspirations. And now if you create the hunger, and by the hunger, I mean, I got a mortgage to pay. I got utilities to pay. If you create that realism in your mindset, you'd be surprised how much you can gig if that's all you're relying on. Because that's all I do all the time. And it's like, I'll do anything for money. Not it sounds weird, right? But I'll perform in almost anything for money because that's what it takes. And it also means not just being a sousaphone player, but being an instrumentalist. Mm-hmm. Like I jump a lot on trombone because I have to, and if I get sousaphone gigs, great. And if I get a trombone gig, great. Or a euphonium gig, great. As long as it pays. Because that's what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with capitalizing off of something that too many of us are doing for free. Yeah. And that's the singular message that I have, with these conjunto gigs. It's about learning the verbiage, first of all, and meeting the right people. Like, you have to put yourself out there all the time. You have to go to nightclubs. You have to go to bars, especially the ones that have live performing musicians, all the guitar players, all the bass players, wherever they're hanging out. You gotta go. If you really want to gig, you can gig, but you have to go to the bars. Like, you have to network, Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you're gonna be shy about it, then you're not gonna get very far. But I'm a very direct person because I don't have time to waste because I got to think of the next bill. And it's that hunger that keeps me going. I've been doing it now for, I don't know, well, since COVID, I guess. So 5 years going, you know? So I
No,
don't know.
that's a huge point. Like there are so many levels to this thing, right? A lot of people struggle with that first level that you're talking about of like, oh, I've been a student for this long, doing it for free, doing it, paying to do it. And now I'm supposed to demand money for it, and I feel there's an imposter syndrome that we have to deal with. There's an inadequacy thing that we have to deal with, or just like even like you were saying, like that first gig with that band that you were finally like, I'm not gonna let nerves make me say no. I'm just gonna say yes and see what happens. And yeah, like what happened on that first gig, Jose?
Oh, the first gig. I don't really remember that first gig anymore.
Blacked
I
out.
just I just remembered thinking, you know what, that wasn't that bad. And then when it was all said and done, and getting paid like I think it was like $150 for a 45-minute set, I was like, you know what? I've made more right now than I ever did during grad school.
Yeah.
Than my 2 years of grad school, and I think about that, and I can't. I apologize because I'm very blunt, but
No, it's good.
sometimes it feels like a fucking scam.
It is.
Because there's thousands upon thousands of musicians graduating college, and there's not enough jobs, and especially performing jobs. And my stick has always been about, why did we really start this to begin with? And it was because at some point we really enjoyed just performing. We didn't think when we were in 7th grade, 8th grade band or whatever, we didn't think, oh, I want to be a teacher. No, at least that's not what I thought. I thought I want to perform, but
Yeah.
no one told me how hard it was going to be. And then no one really told me how to network myself. If you're not going to hype yourself up, no one else is.
Yeah.
No one will do it. And we're taught to be humble all the time. I say, screw that. That's my message. Like, screw that, because I hype myself up because I know no one else will. And I get a lot of gigs because of it.
Yeah. Nora, maybe you can speak a little bit to like how, like, because I know you came out of, you were working a job. When I first met you, you were like, I would never be able to play music for money, and now you play gigs that pay you over $1,000 sometimes. Like how was that transition from that to that?
Yeah, I definitely identify with your story a lot, NJ. Yeah, pretty similarly, like COVID, I had a 9 to 5 job. I worked at Vice, um, doing music supervision stuff. So I get music into movies and TV shows and such. Um, but I wanted to take the tuba more seriously, and I wasn't happy at Vice, so, like, wasn't happy in my job. So I ended up quitting, and it was just kind of at a perfect time where a lot of people were leaving the city. Just everything was in flux. So it was like truly a perfect time to take it up. And similar to you, NJ, like I think for my first like 2 years of playing the tuba, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play with absolutely everyone and take any gig and do anything. Um, and it was a lot of me just like having to learn other people's catalogs nonstop and then being scared, like pretty much to the point of crying, like all the time. I think I was scared to the point of crying, like for like 2 years, basically, especially for like a year and a half, that first year and a half. Just 'cause I felt so like imposter syndrome. I was like, I didn't go to school, and I didn't go to school for music. That's the other thing too. I quit tuba for 6 years. I thought I'd never play again. And then I found a community brass band here in New York, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And then me and my friends started a band from that called Brass Queens. And yeah, and that's when Steven really encouraged me. I was dating Steven at the time. We had kind of just started dating, and Steven was a professional tuba player, and he was like, you can do this. Like, you can absolutely do it. Like, you have something that a lot of classical musicians don't have, which is that you are able to groove and be off the page, which is super
Thank
important.
God.
Yeah, for real. Like, actually, So a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I can't gig. I didn't go to school for music." It's like, no, for being a tuba player, if you're going to play like improvisational like music, that's actually a benefit a lot of times because you're flexible. You're able to be flexible and you're able to use your ears and, think in different ways that you weren't taught to think in school. And then playing with one band led to another band, which led to Lucky Chops, which was a brass band that I'm still in. And with Lucky Chops, I've toured all over the world. I've played in Indonesia. I've played all over Europe. Play all over the U.S. Yeah, so it's true. I think you just have to kind of make a decision of like, I was doing it for a hobby for like a year. After I quit, I picked tuba back up again in 2018, and it was a hobby for like 2 years. And then I made that choice of like, no, I want to take this seriously. And now I'm back to doing some music supervision stuff again, but it's on my time. I freelance. So I don't make a lot of money and I'm very much still figuring it out. But yeah, you just have to make that decision of like, no, I want the tuba to be something that I get paid to do. I don't want it to be a hobby anymore. And it's hard, but it's doable. It's hard, but it's doable.
Yeah, and it's just
Yep.
prioritizing. It's like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
How much do you want to join this thing? How like yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up soon, but this was a really great conversation. I think like, you know, here, anybody want to go around and say like key takeaways from today? Like what really hit you about like kind of what we've been talking about? Anybody who like hasn't really spoken much?
Well, I just want to take a moment. What the heck?
We hear you. You're good.
Sorry, my screen just. Oh, God dang it!
It's all right. You could talk. We can hear you. You don't look
There
weird.
we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see you.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, my screen just went weird for a second. Yeah, sorry about that. I was sitting here wondering, is that Nora from Lucky Chops? Because
That's so nice. Hi.
yeah, hi, yeah, yes. I actually watched your all's the latest video with you guys. I think it was the latest one. You guys were doing okay, I'm making a total nerd of myself right now. I'm blanking on the name of the one. Leo P was in it. You guys were back in Subway.
Like in the subway.
Yeah, what song was it? Mike, it's not wasn't Stand By Me.
Leo? Was it? What was it? Cover? Oh, Danza.
Funky Town. It was
Funky Town. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason my brain just locked on that because I'm a little nerdy starstruck. I'm
That's okay.
I'm
Thank
actually
you so much. That's so nice.
a lot of things. My story, long story short, I'm a multi-instrumentalist, and I'm also an actor as well. And I spent my years away from brass doing theater here in the Northwest. And 2017 was a major upheaval in my life. And one of the things that happened was I ended up moving back to my hometown and got back into brass largely because I just was for dealing with a lot of stuff and started Googling like brass bands, and Lucky Chops popped up. And I remember watching a whole bunch of videos before you joined the band back in like 2015. And I was like, that looks like so much fun. Why did I ever stop playing brass and started playing the trombone again? I would play along to old Lucky Chops videos and then track down my tuba and got back into playing tuba. And I've kind of been a fan of your
You can
guys.
see me, but I can't see me.
Sorry?
You can see.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I really like you guys' music. and I'm a little kind of sitting here going, oh my God, that is her from Lucky Chops.
I'm using my other hand to hold it up, but
Oh, we're
this
doing
heart.
hand.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
We mentioned earlier. I just wanted to add on to that. We mentioned earlier that we don't see a lot of like lady brass players, and I had the most girl tuba students this year than I ever had, and I told all of them about you. Actually.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing in the world. When
Yeah, it's
girl
awesome.
tuba players message me or someone tells me like, oh, I told someone about you. I told them to check out Lucky Chops. That's like that's the greatest thing in the entire world. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Nora has become like an icon for that, and it's awesome. It's like
It's nice.
No, it's so funny because like like we'll be hanging out and she'll be deep in the imposter syndrome and like deep into like what's going on with my life. This music life is so hard. And then she'll get a random DM from somebody in Belgium who's like, "Oh my God, I'm in 8th grade and I play the tuba and I've never seen a girl tuba player before." And it's just like, yeah, this whole life it's an up and down thing, and you gotta know why you're doing it, and you gotta like keep it like all of those things are it helps you. It helps a lot. Like sometimes this can be feast and famine. Sometimes you get the gigs, sometimes you don't have the gigs. Sometimes it's, but you got to keep in mind like why you do it. Like you do it for yourself, you do it for the community, you do it to keep, this is why I started this whole tuba bass thing is because it's like there are too many tuba players who are just sort of not really knowing what the path forward is for them, not really knowing that we can do this, that and kind of like you said, Jose, that like that band that you were playing with, they were just looking for any bass player, and every band, like nobody's looking for a tuba player, but if you're a tuba player that can hold it down like a bass player, you can play in any band. You just have to sound good enough for them to be like, yeah, we can work with this. Because the other thing is like a tuba on stage looks badass. Like people love it.
Yes.
If you can actually know how to plug into an amp, know how to like really do it in any key by ear, hold down the groove, and so that nobody even remembers that there's a tuba back there. You're just playing a role in a rhythm section, and so there are bands everywhere, and bass players are busy as anybody. Every bass player is playing with 6 different bands. So like if you can be that person that can do it and hold it down and play like any bass player that's out there, you can work. You can do something with this love for the tuba that you have, that you've been working on for years, that you've been buying horns and checking out mouthpieces and all of that kind of stuff. Just be a bass player, a tuba bass player.
I got a funny story to kind of piggyback on that. So I've mentioned before that I play in a band called Cacophonics, and my screen just went weird again. I think Zoom hates me right now. Can you see me and hear me?
Just talk. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, the band consists of piano, valve trombone, trumpet, drums, and tuba. And I'll gladly post some videos to the page if you guys would like to see it. We call ourselves a circus carnival punk rock band. And we were in Holland and Germany just back in February, and we played this gig, and we dress up. We always dress up in weird, lavish outfits for our shows. And I'm wearing like this sunglasses and this vest, and I'm walking around. There's kind of this mystique that it's a persona kind of thing when we perform. And after one of our gigs, I'm hanging outside the bar, and one of the guys who'd been watching us walked up to me and said, "You look like a bass player." And I said,
You do look like a bass player.
I am a bass player. Like this right here, this is my bass. It's yes, I'm the tuba player in this band, certainly, but I'm the bass player of this band, and people look at our band and say, "Oh, you have a horn section. That's really cool." It's like, we do, but really, yeah, I'm the bass player. I'm playing bass lines and listening, going, okay, what's going to complement the music, what's going to hold down the bottom end and drive the melody forward, and make that space to let everything dance on top of you, so to speak. And on that note, I kind of have a question. How many people here? So I went to high school band, and I studied theater and things like that for years. But how many people prefer not reading sheet music? Okay, about half. I'm
one of those people too.
Yeah, I hate sight reading. I can do it. It's my least favorite thing to do as a musician on any instrument. It's always been a struggle. And one of the things that initially brought me to bass guitar, guitar and bass guitar, was you learn the patterns, you learn the scales, and they never really change unless you change your tuning. And But even on tuba, I'm one of my things in my little journey here is learning the different patterns, different fingerings, and what corresponds with everything else. And it's just there's always in the back of my mind like anything I can do to make it so I don't have to sight read, the better. If I can learn a song by ear and show up at the gig and be like, oh, I already know that song in whatever key you want to play it in. Don't even hand me the page. That's a win. That's a huge win in my book. And I don't know. I wonder if anybody else feels that way because I've met a few other players who love it, who actually really enjoy sight reading, and it's it's like the ninth ring of hell for me.
I agree. I cry. I generally cry. Like
Mhm.
I'm not joking. I cry if I have to
Yeah.
like sight read, and like I generally don't sight read on gigs because I just generally don't need to, the type of gigs I do. But if like I was working on some sight reading with Steven like a few months ago and I was just sobbing because I get so frustrated.
Mhm.
I get so frustrated and so confused. So yeah, it's something that I really need to work on. I have like a high school level reading
Yeah.
of music. That's about it. Like high school band level reading music. So yeah, I hate it. I hate it, but I do want to get better at it. It's just a matter of getting past that frustration.
So the tuba player of Lucky Chops, who has toured all over the U.S. and Europe, also hates sight reading.
Cries, not just
That
hates it. I
okay?
sob. I like
That gives me
ugly
hope.
sob. Like I'll be sight reading for a while, and then eventually I get so frustrated I ugly sob.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
and most bass players in like a cover band would also hate sight reading. It's like the there is, obviously it's a skill. Like you want as many tools in your tool bag when you show up to the job so that you know that you can do the job right. And like, yeah, there are certain gigs that require sight reading and you do it and you just get. And there are ways to get better at that and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like kind of like what we were talking about before is that like for whatever reason, most tuba players are put in, or at least the typical school path is like reading is the only way, and learning by ear and being flexible is the harder way. You know,
Yeah, and it's like, no, it's not.
well, yeah, and you just got to be, at a certain point, you take yourself seriously and you learn all the tools and that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't. Like I know, oh my gosh, man. Like yeah, like when I was playing in like the Philly gospel scene, um, most of those dudes couldn't read music, but they were all on tour with Kanye and Common and Jill Scott and like all of these things because they just spent and because there's another thing about it is that like when you don't when the stuff isn't what am I gonna say? When the stuff is on the page, there's a certain there's a certain accuracy that comes with it, but then it's also like there's a certain vibe that you get when it's all off the page. That like everybody has to be listening to each other because it's all on sound. And it's not just like, oh, it says staccato and accents, and so I'm gonna play it that way. It's no, it sounds like this, and so I'm gonna make it sound like that. And there's a lot of extra information coming from a recording or from someone blowing something in your face and you copying it from them than there can be on a piece of sheet. Like, yeah, actually, just the other day, Chelsea's in the studio with me and Nora, and she shared this. Solange wrote like a sousaphone duet, and we got the sheet music, and we were looking at the sheet music, and then we were listening to what they played, and what they played was so much more hip than what like would have been played by someone who just read the music. But like because they were adding so much extra flavor to it, as far as like how they were approaching the rhythm, how they were approaching like playing it, with a round tone versus sometimes blasting and like all of that kind of stuff. And this is why learning by ear is so important, because like there's there's an amount of information that can be on a page, but music is about sound. And you got to be able to cop the sound that's coming into your ear and really be like, okay, how can I make this sound more like this? How can I make this sound more like this? And then when you get into like the the kind of a lot of the stuff that I teach is like going to like original source recordings of bass players, isolating that bass player and being like, okay, he's using a pick there, or like, yeah, Carol Kay is using a pick on this Beach Boys tune. How can I make my articulation sound like that? How can I, like make my sustain and my decay sound like that, and all of that stuff? And none of that stuff is in a sheet music. It's all just in sound and diving into that sound.
Well, it's honestly, I think it's one of those things, NJ here mentioned, you know, it's a scam. Like you talk about school, these things that teach, orchestra and sheet music and perfection, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's got to sound good. It's got to blend. It's got to be music. It's got to be a song. And it's got to, if it works, it works. And if it's not working, you got to change it. And, I think that's one of those things you only learn by getting out there and doing it, putting yourself out there.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. And again, I don't mean to be offensive to anyone when I use that word, like a scam and stuff, because I know that a lot of us have invested a lot of years into this.
You use it, Ken.
but the reason I use it is just because of my frustration, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands of musicians, not just tuba players, but just musicians in general that are out there resorting to education jobs because that's what they do and that's what you're told to do. And it's like, well, what if I just want to perform? Oh, no. You have to be this talented to be a performer, and it's like,
by the way, now you're $100,000 in debt.
I play with ska bands, I play with punk bands, I play with rock bands, polka bands, and I do gig with orchestras and I do gig with quintets to keep my chops honest. I gig wherever the money is. And again, I can't stress this enough. You just gotta, it's kind of like plunging into the pool, cannonballing almost. The water's cold. You just gotta psych yourself up and say, screw it, and then cannonball right in. And yes, sir.
Hey, I'm unbelievably late. So, hey, group, I've been dying to get in this group forever. The name is Sharif. I'm here in New York. You segued into something I swear you touched right on. I'm in the military band field. I started on active duty in the Marine Corps band. I'm actually by trade a double bassist. And I swear you nailed something on the head we've had problems with forever. Our culture, and something popped up. Oh, I can't do hand gestures. Okay. I was like, what was that? Culturally, the military band field, we're not going to go back to the beginning of time, was basically classically based, pun intended. And then right around the 90s, when I came in 95, they were coming away from the academic world, so to speak. And present day, I did my active duty years up to 03. The point is this. The ironic thing, they beat us up in the 90s was, hey, we've got to be classical. We've got to be formal. Keep your face in the charts. This will prepare you for the real world. And I came in late. In other words, I was already a working musician. I was living on my own at 19. So by the time I came to them, they were saying, no, this is how it works in the real world. I'm sitting there going, I just left the village gate. That's not what anyone does. That's not how gigs work. And the biggest thing they've been pushing on, I'm an absolute tuba faker. I heard somebody saying impersonator. I feel you times 10. That's what they want. There's the chart, and then you got to come off the chart. There's nothing wrong. Lord knows I paid my bills for almost now 30 plus years. I'm 53. But there's reading, and then there's performance. Classical musicians, I've sat in 7 symphonies. And yes, they're reading, but they're interpreting through the conductor. There's connecting with my first ever tuba gig, besides almost falling on my face because I didn't realize how bells work. And I couldn't see the stairs, was them saying, hey, communicate, hey, walk into the audience. Yep. And if you're not connecting with people, it doesn't matter how great you are. If you're Paganini, if you're Steve Vai, and the list goes on, but people are asleep. We've all seen, I hate to out dog on my own for 1 second. The Air Force bands are meticulous. I mean, they don't take people unless you have it.
No. Starting to interject. If it's anything that we can all feed off of, this is absolutely true. You reminded me of something. People listen with their eyes. And by that is move, move, for crying out loud. Even if you get a gig somewhere where you're performing, move. And whatever you think is actually moving, move more, because it's not enough. Nora can probably attest to this. Steve can definitely attest to this. You know, it's like, if you don't move, you look boring because people will just keep walking.
Well, and
You gotta move.
The other thing about moving is like it like not only is it more interesting and I would say more fun, but it's one of the best ways that you can lock in with the rhythm.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
like if we're, you know, as bass players in the bass player role, our number one thing is to be a bridge between the drums and the rest of the band. You know, we keep the harmonic foundation going, but we also keep that rhythmic foundation going. And I tell all my students, like, dance with the drummer. The number one thing you got to do is dance with the drum. If you are dancing with the drummer, then the people on the dance floor will be dancing. If you are just standing there stiff playing the thing, chances are you're gonna sound stiff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What were you? Keep going.
Yeah, yeah. The Air Force folks are known for, you know, being college people, this, that, and the other. They're exceptional players, but engagement. The civilian side, I have an entertainment company, and one of the things I find a bridge. Somebody mentioned the college student thing, and that is one of the biggest challenges I have with these young people. Like, again, I'm 53, so some of them will come in. One, they don't know maybe the company. That's fine. They don't know me, and they'll go, "Well, yeah, I did the thing," and I'm going, "Yeah, but we're playing Dua Lipa, and you're playing strings, and you're sitting still. We're being paid not just for the music, but for people to engage. This is somebody's wedding. This is somebody's one moment, and they don't want to see you with your degree on your stand." That's not engaging. No one cares that you just graduated Juilliard, man. You've got to engage, and it's beyond crucial. And it's also something that somebody mentioned the school issues. Dear Lord, I'm going to say probably the most unpopular thing in the world. Don't quote me for this. Somebody turn off this snapshot. Too many educators. Oh, I'm going to say it. I shouldn't, but I will.
Say it.
They were the folks that didn't kind of cross that next level.
Mm.
Yeah.
And now this is how it really works. And you sit there going, man, okay, fine. So what's the last thing you did? That's not the point. No, that is the point. If you were a pilot, I'd want to know you can fly a plane. And there's nothing wrong with engaging. There's nothing wrong with. I started off actually only using my ears. I was totally unformally taught until I got to really, truthfully told, the military. I had a insane story. That's another time. But by the time I learned how to properly read, my ear was what kind of saved me. For anybody who's ever played in the churches, they don't read. Usually, some of them do, but most don't. So when you balance the both worlds, especially as a person who's not a brass player, and you're going, oh, wait a minute, that articulation, oh, this thing, or the infamous Achilles heel, usually for wind players, as long as you got a good breath, your time is fine. And I'll play with somebody, you know, and as soon as that cigarette kicks and it's like, whoa, what just happened? Whoa, what was that? It's like, no, we were in time. I was like, yeah, if that was retardando, that was in time. The drummer's sitting there going, what was that? What just happened? So all of it is absolutely important. This is a great vibe. I'm loving hearing all this stuff because it's beyond true. And I deal with it on both sides, the civilian world and the military. We just left the Grand Ole Opry, and there were things that the engineers were asking for. And they were like, wait a minute, where the tubas being placed? Where are the drums? Okay, now. And then once they set those mics up, they dealt with our conductor and commander. Enough said, you know, and it was a country gig. Tubas in country. I mean, it happens, you know. So,
you know,
I've talked long enough. I'm sorry.
No, that's great.
The only thing I want to add to that is when I'm learning music for gigs on tuba, I always learn it by ear, and it just feels way better. If someone gives me a chart, I'll try not to look at it because then I don't really know it, you know.
True. That's actually extremely true.
Oh man, yeah. No, if you
you have to listen to it while you're driving and stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You gotta live with it.
Absolutely. And if you learn it from the chart, it just goes in your brain and out your brain. Like it really does. There's something about like having to listen to it and like deep listen, record it into your brain so that you can kind of like get the song stuck in your head and just kind of let it rattle around in there. That like just reading a thing, yeah, sure, you just executed a thing. Cool, you're done. You don't have to remember it after that. But if you do it by ear and all of that kind of stuff, it really, it locks it in so much better.
It's thick, no? You know, with a brass band that I play, my biggest fight in 4 years that I've been with them is to move, because we have big guys and it looked like a football field, you know, like the defense line with 7, 8 guys, like
It does.
over 300 pounds. And I'm like, this is a football team, or this is like, and some people left, so it's not that big now, but now they move. They move a lot more than they used to, because I was like, and then it was like a solo, 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 solo. By the end of the solo, I was about to sleep, you know, fall asleep. But, you know, big guys doing, and I go, so everything has changed. I bug them a lot. I'm the older guy. I'm 60 years old. I retired from the military, and I love show. I've been in opera, musical, everything. So for me, the show is part of the performance. And I've been bugging them so much that now they don't stop, and they do like different solo, a trumpet against a trombone, or trombone and trombone. You know, they do a lot of stuff that when I got there, oh my gosh, it was impossible. It was impossible to play, you know. One tune, 15-minute, 7 solo. It was impossible. It was impossible. So definitely for me, the show is, and I always jump in with my freaking sousaphone. Of course, I jump less when I have the Martin. I jump more when I have my K, my 14K, which is a lot lighter to jump and go around, you know. But it's fun. One thing that I'm curious, because I just came from vacation and I have a kid, and it was very hard in my shops, you know. Anybody do something special, and you know, because I just came like Wednesday and I have a gig on Saturday, and I did a couple stupid things, you know, like the sounds and the stuff that you do when you play, and I almost ran out of shops, you know.
Have you ever tried free buzzing?
Free bossing.
Yeah, I'll do it while I'm driving around. I mainly play trombone. It's a lot harder to do in a lower note, but you're just making a mouthpiece noise without the mouthpiece.
I will have to try.
Do it with like a piano and try to like match the pitch and bend it and stuff, and just do it in the car while you're driving places. It's not anything like the real thing, and you're gonna practice making good tone without an instrument on your face. So it's not gonna equate to good tone on the instrument, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. The first tune that I played, I did like, woo! And then like, what happened to my chops? They're gone.
Was it are you talking about that quintet gig?
No, I'm talking
okay.
about the brass band. Their brass.
Yeah, okay.
I would love to chime in on the whole choppy thing.
Yeah.
Especially doing like the Disney thing. It's like 7 sets set in. And if I'm coming off, like say I've been traveling or something, I'm like 2 days off the horn, and then immediately have to like be playing triple F on the first note. It's like, well, what do I have to do? And I definitely tell you that 50% of that band, or maybe more in some cases, shows up to the band room like 2 hours early, and like all they're doing is playing tones and playing low register stuff. Every single tuba player like at the park is like way down in the dumps, or at some point during the day, just like getting everything super low, like just getting the chops loosened up. And then at the end of the day, my chops do not like hurt at all.
Doesn't suffer.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a Star Wars cantina full of tuba players, just in the underbelly of Disney.
Yeah. We have like a stairwell, and we all have these like low range things. Like we'll just, half steps down, just really slow. And like, if anything, that's just like therapy for your face. It's just the same way like anyone doing any athletic activity has an actual warm up that's kind of like the activity, but it's not racing, it's not running, it's not swimming, but just something to get moving. Like, and I think that this Well, these aren't necessarily like the muscles that are working. Like these are the muscles that are working. If you just immediately start sprinting, it's like, yeah, it's gonna get worn out almost immediately. But if
Yeah.
you kind of work up to it, and then like everything's loosened up, I have a lot better endurance, especially if I'm going to be going for multiple days in a row.
It was
Yeah,
a lot of
Cool
fun.
down is real too.
yeah.
And if I can provide the other side of the coin on that topic, when you haven't played in a little while and then you come back to playing double forte immediately, I embrace it. I constantly think of things just to keep me motivated, I guess. Like currently I'm playing with the SeaWorld brass band, and we're doing 15 shows a day, and I the next 2 days I'm off. I'm not gonna play, and then when I jump back in, it's back to El Cheapo Blasto, right? So what I do is I think of Jacobs, right? I think of Arnold Jacobs and the whole thing that he used to do, that it's all in your mindset. And so I don't warm up. I challenge myself, because it's like, you know what? I've been playing this crap for years. And by crap, I mean this instrument, right? I've been playing this instrument for years. I got to challenge my mind in another way. So I don't play. And then I just jump into it just to see what happens. I put myself in that mindset that it's like, go, do it, just get it done. And that's just for my own mental state, to like pump myself up. So if every once in a while you want to just do that, why not? You already know how to warm up. You already know how to buzz. We all know this. We've been doing it for years. So in my case, I use it as just a tool, as I wonder what would happen if I just go. So I do. And I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I'm in both camps. I've definitely there have definitely been times in my life where I have just for whatever reason, I was just showing up to gigs and playing and then going home and not really caring. And then I feel like more recently I've gotten myself more into I have this routine. I really Mike Davis has this 20-minute warm up thing. I really like it. It's great. I play along to the tracks. It's like I just do it, and by the end of it I feel great. I think a lot of it is I think Derek, you were kind of saying, is it it's not only is it actually getting the muscles in shape, but it's grounding me in a certain way where it's that, but then also yeah, Jose, I agree with you. The body's amazing. It can do whatever I tell it to do. And if I tell it to, I mean, Nora and I play this Mummers Day parade in Philly every year, and it's straight 8 hours of blasting your face off, and it's freezing because it's January 1st. And for the whole neck, it ruins my chops for a day, basically. But I've done that gig, and then the next day had to play another gig when it literally felt like my two fingers were my two lips were made of fingers. It was just super, just thick chop, whatever, and still was able to get through the gig. Where what's also cool about the at least the tuba bass thing is that you kind of get to choose whether or not you're gonna play with the fireworks that day, or you're just gonna hold it down and do simple stuff that does the job, because nobody's really gonna get that mad at you if you're just playing bump 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 bump, or just whatever. It's kind of up to you, and sometimes those creative restraints can be fun, if even if that creative restraint is I suck today.
The days I overthink my warm-ups are definitely the days where I feel the worst about my playing, and that usually just ends up being me playing too much in a warm-up for the day. And then some of the best gigs I've ever played, I've gone in cold. So I think you just gotta not think about it too hard. Play a note and be like, do I feel good right now? And if you don't, go from there, I guess.
Yeah, everybody
Mental
has
state.
to know what they need to do to get the job done.
I have a not on tuba, but when I was doing a lot of theater, and especially when I was teaching, I was really adamant about warming up casts, warming up my students, things like that. And I do believe it has its place. But I can tell you in my own personal sphere, having had limited time before gigs, before whatever, I've learned to just hit the key elements that work, you know. And on tuba, I can show you that for me, it's just play as high as I can, play as low as I can. So I'm gonna do something like, you know, just something like that. Even it sounds like shit, but it gets my lips moving and kind of gets my horn itself warmed up too, which is something we tend to forget about. This thing needs to warm up, and I've noticed a few times that when my horn itself is cold, it doesn't matter what my embouchure is. It's just it needs a couple seconds to acclimate.
You said that perfectly. 5 trillion%. And by the way, what's up, Rich? I just saw you in the corner, man. What's up, bro? We deal with that all the time. I have been literally stationed in New Orleans, insane humidity, done the Veterans Day parade here in New York, absolute ego check. We had 3 of our guys in the reserves. They're allowed to basically have a personal day, if you will. It's technically RST, but at any rate. And I was it was my literal first time. They went, "Oh, Sergeant Sharif, you're fine. You'll be back by something." I said, "I'm sorry, what?" They're like, "Yeah, winter parade, and it's uphill. And if anybody's ever come to New York, that parade starts basically in not Tribeca, technically the Iron District, and goes all the way up, but it's literally uphill in New York in November." Oh my dear Lord! And I learned that brutal life lesson of, okay, note to self: 1, forget your teeth for the next day; they're wrecked. But 2, warm up the horn. It was like, oh, this is why I see the brass guys doing this, blowing into the axe, warming it up. I'm like, idiot, your grandfather's a trumpet player. Duh. And when I was stationed, when I was a Marine on active duty, I was actually in the desert, 29 Palms. Anybody's ever been to the Mojave, Palm Springs area? Dear Lord, the word hydration is crucial, because not only does the horn expand, it, needless to say, the pitch changed. And you start immediately going, hey, man, you look at the other 2 guys like, how do I put this back in tune? Something's wrong. My ears are strong. This is no longer F. I'm pretty sure I'm playing E flat now. What the hell happened? Yeah. Oh, like, give me a second. Let me pull the valve out for you. So that was insanely important. And I just never knew it. It was like, I knew it, but there's no one and there's no one. It's like, keep the accent. And a lot of times, it's funny, someone said sometimes it doesn't matter, which is true. But for us, we always have the camera on us. Whenever you think of a military parade, no stress, right? I'm already faking it. And the camera goes right in your face, live from CNN, blah, blah, blah. And you're going, here's the national anthem. Da, da, da. And you're going, don't hose it, don't hose it, don't hose it. Because we have a thing called the intranet, where basically all the military bands talk to one another. So when that's happening, what the civilian world doesn't see is that all the commanders worldwide are watching you going,
trash talking,
and no stress, right? And you're like, loosen up the face, embouchure, drop your jaw, F is here, centered here. And for my fellow doublers, who else has that ambidextrous nightmare? Everything you do on double bass or electric bass is your left hand. You go to play tuba or sousaphone, and your brain has to shift. It's like, wait a minute, now I'm speaking Italian to someone who speaks Chinese in my right hand. Oh, crap. Give me a minute.
With my
Where
feet.
is F again? Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, thank you. Someone said it. Thank you. It's because I'll speak to guys and they don't get that. They're like, Sharif, it's still just F. I'm like, dude, it's the other side of my brain now, though. I'm now thinking F in my right hand. My whole career, I played in my left hand F. So I don't know. It's just a thing. Yeah, preparation is everything. And deep breaths of calmness.
Well, this was great. I unfortunately I gotta get going. But this was a great hang. Anybody who wants to, we I know like Chelsea, Nora, Alan, they're all my students in the studio. We've got a couple more slots. If anybody's interested, just hit me up or talk to anybody. It'd be great to do this. We do this a bunch more every week. Awesome. On that note, it's great to see everybody. We're doing this every Tuesday. It's 2 p.m. for me. It's 11 a.m. on the West Coast, wherever you are. 7 p.m. out in London. I'm going to do it every Tuesday. So come on through anytime.
Can we share it?
What?
Can we share it on our social media? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. Please share it on your social media. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Great to meet all y'all. Great hang. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Steve.